On the news, Supreme Court dismisses suit challenging establishment of EFCC Act. Late Chief of Army Staff Taoreed Lagbaja laid to rest in Abuja. And police tighten security, announce readiness for Ondo governorship election. Thank you for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Atikun. The Supreme Court has dismissed the suit instituted by 16 states of the Federation challenging the constitutionality of the acts establishing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission (ICPC). Delivering the lead judgment on Friday, Justice Uwani Abba Aji held that the states were completely wrong in holding that the EFCC, established by an act of the National Assembly, was an illegal and unlawful body. Justice Abba Aji, who led a 7-member panel of justices, ruled that the EFCC Act, which is not a treaty but a convention, does not need the ratification of the states' houses of assembly. The suit, which was initially instituted by attorney generals of 16 states, sought the scrapping of the anti-graft agencies. While some states withdrew from the suit, some others asked to be joined as co-plaintiffs. The Apex Court dismissed it for lacking in merit. In the meantime, the National Judicial Council has suspended Justice G.C. Aguma of the High Court of Rivers State and Justice A.O. Nwabunike of the Anambra State High Court from performing judicial functions. According to a statement by the Council on Friday, the decision was taken at the 107th meeting of the NJC, chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, on November 13 and 14, 2024. Both justices had earlier been suspended for the period of 1 year without pay and placed on a watch list for 2 years thereafter. On Friday, a total of 5 serving judicial officers were sanctioned for various acts of misconduct. The council also recommended 2 heads of court for compulsory retirement over falsification of age. The late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has been laid to rest at the National Christian Center, Abuja, marking an end to 2 days of funeral rites that began in Lagos earlier in the week. The remains of the late Army Chief, who passed on at the age of 56 on November 5, arrived at the church at 11:17 a.m. in a military motorcade. President Bola Tinubu has conferred a posthumous award of the Commander of the Federal Republic, CFR, on the late Chief of Army Staff, just as he extolled his virtues and eulogized his contributions to national security. In her remarks, the First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, said that the country would continue to celebrate Lagbaja for being an exemplified man.
The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. He also said that the memory of the just is blessed, and the rest from their labors and their works followed them. He had fought a good fight. He had finished his course. He kept the faith. Henceforth is laid up for him a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give him at that day. And I believe he has received his crowns already. My thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Mrs. Maria Abiodun Lagbaja, children, family, friends, colleagues, and associates. May Lieutenant General Lagbaja's good works and legacy lives on. May Almighty God comfort and grant him and all grant all the family members the fortitude to bear this irreplaceable loss. May his gentle soul rest in peace.
With less than 24 hours to the Ondo State governorship election on Saturday, November 16, the Nigeria Police Force has affirmed its readiness to ward off any form of threat during the exercise. A statement by the MPF Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi reveals the police had firmed up security architecture in the state by deploying officers across all the 18 local government areas, 203 wards and the 3,933 polling units in the state. Adejobi assured that at least 4 police officers in collaboration with other security personnel will be present at each polling unit to ensure a smooth poll.
The Nigerian Police Force has continued to gear up its preparations and strategies, reinforcing adequate security measures to ensure a smooth run of the electoral process. As part of these security measures, the force once again reiterates the ban on the use of unauthorized siren, covered number plates, aid and escort to VIPs during the elections. Local, unauthorized, and quasi-security agencies are once again warned to stay clear, as violators will experience severe consequences and face the full wrath of the law. Restrictions on movement on the day of the election from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. still remains valid, as members of the public are advised to make adequate preparations to this effect. Furthermore, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, DIG Elections, DIG Sylvester Abiodun Alabi FDC, has ordered the immediate deployment of commissioners of police assigned for election duties to their designated local government areas. Adequate personnel have been deployed to all polling units.
Ahead of the Ondo State governorship election on Saturday, security agencies have reinforced measures to ensure a peaceful electoral process, deploying extensive personnel and resources to maintain law and order across the state. Well, let's cross over to our correspondent Tamilore Akinkuolie, who is in Akure, the state capital, to get updates on happenings as residents prepare to go to the polls. Tamilore, if you can hear me, tell us what's the current mood in Akure at the moment regarding security, as well as the preparedness of INEC to conduct this election.
Well, Simi, just like you said, there have been calls to residents to come out to vote because based on historical data for the previous elections being held in the states, there have always been an increase in voters registration, but there seemed to always be an issue with voters turnout. Well, with that being said, I have here with me Mr. Chike Chude, one of the members of civil society organizations that are observing the election in the state. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Chike.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yes. Considering the fact that there have been sensitization about voters turnout and education, how well do you think the residents of Ondo State are prepared for this election?
Well, everybody's talking about it. Everybody obviously knows what is going on, what will be going on by tomorrow. But in terms of sensitization, in terms of the feelings by the citizens of the state, it's not, you go around, and we have gone around, not just me, but we have a lot of people. In fact, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room was able, through its affiliation with the partners, and they've been able to deploy about 1,000 people across the 18 local governments in the state. So everybody is aware about the election. But in terms of voter participation, that itself is a problem, and this is not something that has to do with Ondo State. It has now become a perennial problem from year to year, from election to election, and from one part of the country to the other part of the country. There is a loss in belief in the democratic process, in the electoral process in the country. And that, I think, is a major disincentive for a lot of people who are interested. Fortunately, to some extent, we're able to take voter expectation to the zenith, to the peak. That is before the 2023 general election. If you remember correctly, the issue of registration, people were so mobilized, especially the young ones, who perhaps began to feel for the very first time that maybe Nigeria is beginning to get it right. And we were able to give them that impression. I'm talking of civil society and the media, because of what we saw in Anambra State, the success we saw, relative success we saw in the elections in Anambra State, in Osun State, in Ekiti State, back to back to back. And then so we now built that confidence in Nigerians, especially the young people, and the young people on their own were able to mobilize themselves massively to go and register across the country. And then, so there was so much expectation, and then there was this magic word we kept on using: BVAS is going to be a game changer.
Yes.
Because BVAS had worked in Anambra State, Ekiti State, Osun State, and all, with a few contradictions here and there. And then all of a sudden, the election came and went, and then we had a major problem with the BVAS. We were told that there was a glitch, and people's expectations were dashed. So from that moment, from that peak, that zenith, that voter expectation had gotten to, it went down to an all-time low. Right. So now it now became a problem for INEC to now once more prove itself. Okay. We went into other elections in Bayelsa State, in Imo State, in Kogi State, a disaster. So if there's anything that is contributing to low voter turnout, it is as a result of this. Apart from the fact that the politicians are the primary beneficiaries of elections when they win, they are not doing their job. It is their primary responsibility to mobilize voters.
Well, sorry to cut you short, John. Lastly, before I let you go, well, the civil society organizations seem to be heavily prepared. Just like you said, you have like 1,000 observers here for the election. What are your expectations for this election tomorrow?
No, well, the good thing, let me tell you, the uniqueness of this particular election is the fact that you don't find the kind of tension you see in virtually every state in this country in this particular election. Perhaps people have argued that perhaps it is because of the weakness of the competition.
Yes.
Unlike what we had in the past in Ondo State, it has always been tension-soaked, but it's not the same. Then another reason people have given is that the two candidates are from one part of the state.
Yes.
And so I think the way, from what we are told, the way the voters are looking at it, this person loses, we gain. This other person loses, we gain. So there is no need breaking our heads, because ultimately we are going to be the winner. So I think that in a way that has brought down, tension in the state, and that is a good thing. The animosity we see, the hostility we usually see that characterize elections like this, we are not seeing it. And so you can see that there is this feeling of, not fear, but this feeling of, well, the elections will come and go. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chike.
No, it's been a pleasure always.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Simi, that's it from us from here in Accra. We hope to see a very peaceful.
Thank you very much, Amilore Akinkwole, for that update on current happenings in Ondo State. Still on the Ondo State election, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room has called on residents and indigenes to fulfill their civic rights by casting their votes. Speaking at a press conference in Akure, the group emphasized the importance of peaceful and credible elections, announcing the deployment of 1,000 election observers across the state. They also reiterated their commitment to monitoring the process closely in order to curb electoral practices, particularly vote buying.
Situation Room calls on all eligible voters to come out and exercise their civic duty peacefully on election day. We wish to remind the new voters that selling of votes is illegal and undermines the development of the state. Voters must resist the temptation to exchange their votes for money or other investment, as their future welfare and the quality of governance depend on the choices they made. Elections in those states have previously been fraught with tension, but we remain hopeful that this governorship election will mark a departure from the past, from the fear and irregularities. We call on all stakeholders to abide by the provision of the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines to deliver a fair, inclusive, and credible election. We also call on INEC and security agencies to ensure that observers have full access to the collation centers. The Situation Room and other independent observers are committed to ensuring that the will of Ondo State voter is respected. We will continue to observe and report on the process to ensure accountability at every stage of this election. The media now have the extra responsibility of combating fake news and disinformation wherever they rear their ugly heads in this election. The media also have a duty to promote peace and stability as well as educating citizens.
Moving on, the Federal Executive Council has approved a proposed national budget of 47.9 trillion naira for the 2025 fiscal year following a Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu on Thursday. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who disclosed this to State House correspondents, says the move is part of the medium-term expenditures framework for 2025 to 2027, in line with the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007. TV360's Victoria Akonde completes the report.
According to the minister, the government has pegged the crude oil benchmark at $75 per barrel, with an oil production target of 2.06 million barrels per day. The budget also sets the exchange rate at 1,400 naira per dollar and aims for a gross domestic product growth rate of 6.4%. Bagudu says the government's fiscal efforts were on track, with key non-oil revenue streams performing better than anticipated.
Medium-term expenditure framework started with a macroeconomic background, which acknowledged that despite challenging conditions in the global economy, Nigeria's economy has turned in the right direction, achieving a positive growth rate in 2 quarters continuously, significantly, with the growth rate of 3.19% in real terms in the second quarter of 2024. However, it acknowledged that the government will continue to tackle inflation, strengthen economic resilience, support the vulnerable, and rebuild fiscal buffers. And support to higher employment generation sectors, improve the business environment, and effective implementation of youth development and social investment programs. It also included a review of the 2024 budget implementation, where it acknowledged that a review of the implementation of the federal government 2024 budget reveals promising progress in revenue collection and expenditure management.
FEC has also approved a $2.2 billion financing program for external borrowing, including a potential Eurobond and Sukuk bond offer. In addition, the Council approved the Ministry of Finance's Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund for affordable and long-term mortgages to Nigerians.
The Murphy Real Estate Investment Fund is going to be, in first instance, a 250 billion naira fund that will provide low-cost, long-term mortgages to Nigerians that want to acquire houses. It will help to complete or help to fill part of the gaping 22 million unit housing deficit. Of course, it will create jobs. It will stimulate economic growth. And of course, it will also pave the way for other investors, private sector, to also come in and participate in the all-important housing construction industry with huge benefits and knock-on effects throughout the whole economy.
According to the minister, the initiative known as the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund will offer low-cost mortgages to individuals seeking to own homes with single-digit or low double-digit figure interest rates. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
It's time for a short break. Coming up in the news, Rwanda arrived Uyo for crucial AFCON qualifier match against Nigeria's Super Eagles. Stay with us for details. We'll return shortly. Welcome back. Here's a reminder of our top stories. The Supreme Court has dismissed the suit instituted by 16 states of the Federation challenging the constitutionality of the acts establishing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission (ICPC). Delivering the lead judgment on Friday, Justice Uwani Abba Aji held that the states were completely wrong in holding that the EFCC, established by an act of the National Assembly, is an illegal and unlawful body. Justice Abba Aji, who led a 7-member panel of justices, ruled that the EFCC Act, which is not a treaty but a convention, does not need the ratification of the states' houses of assembly. We also told you that the late Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja has been laid to rest at the National Christian Center, Abuja, marking an end to 2 days of funeral rites that began in Lagos earlier in the week. The remains of the late Army Chief, who passed on at the age of 56 on November 5, arrived at the church in a military motorcade. President Bola Tinubu has conferred a posthumous award of the Commander of the Federal Republic (CFR) on the late Chief of Army Staff, just as he extolled his virtues and eulogized his contributions to national security. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Now for business news, Joy Uchenjim is on standby with the latest. What's happening, Joy?
Thank you, Simi, and welcome to Business News. Nigeria's headline inflation rate has again surged to 33.88% in October 2024, up from 32.7% in September 2024, marking a 1.18 percentage point increase month on month. This was revealed in the latest Consumer Price Index report published by the National Bureau of Statistics on Friday. The NBS attributed the rise in inflation primarily to higher transportation costs and increased food prices. On a year-on-year basis, the food inflation rate was 7.64% higher compared to the 31.52% rate recorded in October 2023. We'll take a short break and return with stock market reports. Welcome back. It's the final trading day of the week, and after all the twists and turns on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the bulls have claimed the victory. The market is up by 0.51%, with the market cap at 59.23 trillion naira. Now that's thanks to a flurry of trades. Now leading the charge this week, Flour Mills Nigeria saw its share price soar by 10%, closing at 78 naira 65 kobo, and Unicell Interlinked PLC, which was also showing a strong show today, was right up its heels. In terms of trading action on the NGX, a whopping 295 million shares changed hands across 8,433 deals, amounting to a market value of 6.7 billion naira. Not bad for a day's work. Now, taking a quick global spin, it's a bit of a mixed bag abroad. The Dow Jones indexes took a hit on Friday after the Federal Reserve chairman said there is no need to rush into interest rate cuts. This sent U.S. Treasury yields climbing and put some pressure on stocks. Now, over in the foreign exchange market, the U.S. dollar is still reigning supreme at 1,740 naira. The British pound is holding steady at 2,260 naira, and the euro is priced at 1,860 naira. And that's your update from the market. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Joy. Another foreign scene, a senior Hamas official says that the group is ready for a ceasefire in Gaza and urged the United States President-elect Donald Trump to pressure Israel to end the war. The demands are the same ones Hamas has made in successive rounds of ceasefire negotiations since the start of the war. On the campaign trail, Trump had promised peace in the Middle East and has vowed to give freer reign to Israel. According to an Israeli official tally, the Hamas-led attack has resulted in 1,206 deaths, the majority of which were civilians. And on sports, the Amavubi of Rwanda is set to arrive in Uyo on Friday for their crucial 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against the Super Eagles of Nigeria after suffering a 1-0 defeat at home to Libya in Kigali on Thursday. Rwanda will face Nigeria at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium on Monday, November 18. Meanwhile, Augustine Eguavon's side held Benin Republic to a 1-1 draw on Thursday night. The Super Eagles, having already qualified for AFCON 2025 in Morocco, are assured of finishing in first place in Group D. Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Simi Salatikun. We'll see you again next time.